My name is Daniel Wynn, and by day I invest in sports cards, but by night I make videos about investing in sports cards. I am the great curator. Join me on my journey to break even in the hobby that we all love. Hello everyone, I'm the Great Curator and welcome to my channel. If this is the first time that you guys are visiting, thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. The purpose of this video, just like all my videos, is this is just a fun, creative way for me to kind of share my opinions, my thoughts, my insight on topics and issues in the hobby that I want to discuss. It's intended for people who are new to the hobby to try to get some information where they can hopefully avoid some of the common mistakes that we all make. Also for seasoned collectors and investors to kind of get a little bit of a different perspective so that they can take it back to their community, their circle of friends, and continue this discussion, okay? This is also a platform for me to kind of spread my message of positivity that I want to share with the community. This message of positivity circles around the fact that I think that there's a lot of negativity in the hobby. There's a lot of bad actors sometimes, and there are just people that kind of are bringing down the hobby. So what I want people to do is understand that this is a hobby first. It's not profit first. It's not profit driven. This is a hobby first, built on a community of people that love to collect cards. So I think that we should all kind of emphasize the fact that we want to maintain a standard of civility that we should all try to meet. We want to be gentlemen investors. We want to be lady investors. We want to conduct ourselves with a certain level of decorum, treat each other with respect, help each other, be kind to each other. I think that this will help elevate the level of our strengthen our community and elevate the level of our hobby, which in turn will raise the value of our cards. Okay, guys, I want you guys to remember that this is a hobby first based off of the strength of the community. Okay, so be nice to each other, be respectful, do fair deals, help each other whenever we can. All right, so that's my message. Okay, so today's topic is gonna be an interesting one, probably gonna get a lot of pushback on this. I say that in a lot of my videos. It seems like I'm making a lot of videos that piss people off recently. I don't know why, but somebody asked me to make this video, so I will talk about it, okay? And today's video topic is gonna be my thoughts on NFTs, whether they are a viable collectible, whether I like them or not, whether I think people should invest in them, where do I see them going in the future, okay? So today's topic is gonna be NFTs. And then let me just make this disclaimer saying, I don't own, well, I own like one NFT that I bought for fun, but really I'm not in the NFT space, okay? And I'm not completely knowledgeable about these. So this is just my opinion based off of my limited understanding of NFTs, okay? All right, so those of you guys who don't know, basically NFT, non-fungible token, basically these are digital collectibles. I'm not gonna get into a whole explanation about what they are. Go Google it, you guys will find it out. But you've heard about this everywhere, right? You've heard everybody talking about this. NBA Top Shop, Topps came out their own NFTs. Individual athletes and celebrities coming out with their exclusive NFTs. Gary Vee, Derek Jeter, Rob Gronkowski, all these people coming out with different NFT projects, right? NFTs are everywhere and people are going crazy for them. And on the secondary market, they're trading crazy amounts of prices. VeeFriends, Gary Vee's NFTs, they're going for crazy amount of prices on OpenSea where they trade freely. So people have been asking me, what are NFTs? Should I be putting my money into them? What do you think about them? Okay, so here's my opinion, guys. And I've got some props here that I'm gonna use to represent my thoughts and make some analogies here, okay? I've got this cool Funko Pop Thanos figure. I've got a SGC graded Hulk Hogan card, which is kind of cool. I've got this model of the USS Enterprise, okay, made by Eagle Moss, all right? And then I had this picture that I just drew to represent the digital collectible of an NFT, okay? Since I don't have a real NFT I can show you on a screen or something, this is the representation of the NFT, okay? All right, guys, so here's my thoughts on digital collectibles in a whole. I think that we have to acknowledge that the hobby is moving more and more digital. Just like everything in the world, everything is moving to be digital, all right? So we cannot stop the progress. We cannot stop this trend. Who knows when it will fully take place within our world, but that is where, within our hobby, that is where we are moving. Okay, it already started. We moved to cataloging, you know, graded cards, having a database online. We moved to tracking our cards, our card values online, and at some point we will probably start collecting digital collectibles. I know a lot of people, old school people, are not fans of that, but where the hobby goes, you have to maintain, you have to stay up to date with that, or you will get passed by. And an example of this I would use are all those old guys that you see at shows that have raw vintage cards just sitting in boxes, sitting in binders, sitting in folders, and they get no attention, no love. That's where we are headed. Okay, so if you don't adapt to that, just like we're adapting today, where we're all buying graded cards, things like that, if you don't adapt to the changing times, the hobby will leave you by. And if you're okay with that, then that's fine. But if you want to stay up to date and be active in the community, that's probably where things are going. Now, I don't know how we'll transact like that in the future, but that's where we're going. So we must acknowledge that the hobby, the world, the community is moving digital to digital collectibles. Okay, now that's where we're going. Now, what do I actually think about these NFTs? To me, okay, and remember, this is a representation of an NFT, okay? To me, I think that this is a niche collectible, just like anything else. And the reason I brought out these props here is to show you, to give you guys an example, okay? So what the community that I'm in, that I make these videos for, is for the card collecting community. So we all see this card. We all know that this card has certain value, certain collectability. Some people want it, some people don't, but we can recognize the true value of this card, okay? Now, if you're a collector in the toy community, you would say the same thing about this, all right? You recognize the value, you want it, you would trade for it, you would pay for it, right? If you're not in these spaces, let's just say you are a sci-fi collector, you're a Star Trek nerd, you're a model collector, you would want something like this, right? You would value this, you would pay money for it, you would collect it, right? But unless you're in all these communities, most people outside of these communities would not value these things. Most card collectors would pay money for this, but they wouldn't pay money for this, guys, okay? Most toy collectors would not, they may value something like this. Oh, I'm gonna break this, guys, I better move this. Okay, but they may not pay for a card, okay? Same thing with NFT. NFT is its own community, all right? There may be some crossover from people who collect cards to go over and collect digital collectibles like NFTs, but NFTs is its own community of people that like to collect these, that value these, and you know, they trade these things like that. You don't have to go from one to the other unless you value that, okay, guys? It can be separate. That will be okay. NFTs will be here. Cards will still be here too. Toys will still be here. Models will still be here, okay? These are separate collectible communities. They don't need the crossover. They don't need the merge or anything like that, okay? They can be separate. Now, card companies can make NFTs, and that can draw that crowd, but they will still make the physical cards, okay, guys? So that's the one thing that I want you to realize, is that NFTs will not replace any of these other markets. And if you're in any of these communities, any of these markets, you don't need to cross over to the NFT side unless you value these things, okay? So that's the first thing that I want to talk about. The second thing I want to talk about is whether these have actual value at all or not, okay? So one thing that I want to kind of point out here is that in these other collectible communities, right, we collect these things because they elicit some type of emotional response from us. I watched the Avenger movie. I thought Thanos was so cool. I went out and I bought this little physical representation of him because I wanted to own a piece of him. I wanted to, you know, have it displayed on my desk because I get enjoyment when I'm looking at it. I collect this Hulk Hogan card here because I watched Hulk Hogan as a kid. I loved wrestling. I still love wrestling. I love collecting cards. So this is the perfect physical representation of that. It gives me a sense of ownership of him and it makes me feel good. I enjoy it. I watched Star Trek TV show and I watched the Enterprise on the TV and I think it's really cool and I wanted this little representation of it, okay? So these collectibles, they elicit an emotional response from us, okay? And because it elicits an emotional response, we are willing to pay whatever we want, whatever we can for these, so they have a monetary value between it too. Okay. NFTs, the subject matter on most of these NFTs is completely original. They're not necessarily making NFTs of Marvel stuff. They're not making NFTs of Star Trek stuff. Not yet, maybe in the future. But most of these projects that are out there are original creations from original artists, all right? So to say that they elicit some type of emotional response from people, I don't know. To me, not really. Even, I have a couple NBA Top Shots, and those really don't elicit any type of emotional response from me, okay? So do they meet that criteria for the collectible? For me, no, they do not. All right. Maybe in the future, if they start making some stuff that will elicit that emotional response, maybe they will capture that people. But for now, they do not. Okay. So, so when we own an NFT, it doesn't make us feel like we own a part of something that we're emotionally attached to. Okay. So that's number one. Number two thing that I want to point out here is that NFTs are brand new and they're trading on a platform between people. But they're brand new, just maybe a couple years old, right? But they're trading for a lot of money. So that kind of tells me that people are collecting NFTs not for the collectability of it, but for the monetary value that it has right now. Okay, everybody's collecting these things because they can make money off it. It's a gold rush. Everybody's going in there, buying, trading, they're doing this and that. They could care less whatever the project is, all right? So short term, there's value in trading it, but long term, we know when these things happen, there's always like a bubble that builds and then it bursts, and then these things will have little value after that. We know that. We've seen these things. What it is right now, it's a fad. Okay? Currently, right now, it is fad. It may have to build itself up, but currently it is a fad. So be careful about that stuff. If you guys are spending a lot of money thinking that you're going to hold on to these NFTs long term, most of these NFT projects that are being just minted very easily by artists, all over the place, will have no value to them. Okay, that's the second point I want to make. The third point I want to make here is that these collectibles that we have, Hulk Hogan, okay, is supported by WWE wrestling. Okay, this ship here, the Enterprise, is supported by the franchise Star Trek. All right, this toy here is supported by the creators Funko Pop and the subject matter, the IP of Marvel Avengers, right? They have a community behind it, right? That is supporting, that is creating demand, that is constantly refreshing itself. These NFTs, most of these NFTs that are created by artists, they have no support system, no structure, no IP behind the NFT itself, okay? So they will not continue to support the IP of whatever this NFT is. Therefore, there may not be long-term lasting value. So when you guys are buying up NFTs from all over the place, unless these are minted by well-known established artists, unless they're minted by and they have some type of backing where it creates a community behind it, where it continues to create demand, then understand that there may not be a long-term value in these NFTs. Okay. That's just the truth about that. Okay, so that's what I worry about when people are buying up all these NFTs saying that they're going to be worth a lot of money in 10 years. You don't know that, right? You don't know that. Some NFTs, like I would say, like Gary Vee and his V friends, he's trying to create an ecosystem behind that. He's trying to do all these things, so maybe that has lasting value. But a lot of these other ones that you see just pop up out of nowhere that just look weird or whatever, they may not have lasting value. Okay, so understand that. And then the last point I'll talk about with NFTs is in terms of collectability. I've already kind of shared my thoughts on that. In terms of long-lasting community behind it, I've kind of shared my thoughts on that. But the one thing that I think is interesting about NFTs is as a collectible, they don't really offer that much for me. But if they have some type of utilitarian value to it, based off of the smart contracts that people are hiding behind these NFTs, then maybe there's something there. If I own an NFT and it gives me some type of exclusive access to something, I would be interested in that. To give you an example, let's just say by buying this Thanos pop, Funko Pop, I get free access to all Marvel movies in the future. That would be valuable. I would totally buy this if it got me that type of access. Let's just say I bought this card and it gave me a free ticket to go meet Hulk Hogan for a meet and greet. I would totally do that, right? Same thing with NFTs. If they have some type of smart contract behind it, which is what people are starting to add into the NFTs now, then yes, they will have a collectible value to that, all right? But without that utilitarian value, without a large IP, a large community to back it and to drive demand, most NFTs are not going to be worth anything, guys. Okay, that's just my personal opinion. I could be wrong. All right, I do recognize there's space in the industry. I do recognize that that is the future of where collectibles are going. But to say that all these NFTs out there, that it's a cash grab and everybody's buying, selling, trading them, I just think that mostly that's just built on hype. Mostly people are doing that because they're able to get that type of money right now for them. But I just don't think that it will have lasting effects unless there's some type of utilitarian benefit to them attached to it based on the smart contract technology that they're talking about, okay? So that's just my opinion about NFTs, guys. They're not for me. I'm a physical collector. I like things that I can hold in my hand. So they're not for me. Oh, one more analogy that I'll bring up to you guys is just because things are going digital does not mean that the physical things will be replaced. Okay? When digital comic books came out, people thought the print media was dead. We know that's not true. Okay? When digital books came out on the Kindle readers and everything like that, everybody thought bookstores were dead. We know that's not true. People still want to hold a physical thing in their hand. It elicits an emotional response. So these physical collectibles will be here forever. If anything, they become more valuable, okay? If they ever stop making these things, then all these things become antiques and they become more valuable, okay? So these things are not going anywhere. They will not be replaced by NFTs. NFTs are a separate community, separate niche, separate market that people can get into if they're interested into that. And then that's basically it, guys. So, you know, and things can change. My opinion about these things can change. If somehow they make NFTs where they're able to easily display this in our wallet or on our TV or in some way where we can kind of show them off the same way we show off our cards, maybe my opinions will change about this. But for now, since they're so new, I'm really not buying into them. I'm not investing into them unless I can get them just for fun, or there's a project that I really like. But for right now, I'm really not investing into them. But I do see the value. I do see their place here in the future. It's just not there yet. So my only words of caution for you guys would be to just understand that that's what it is. If you're buying, selling, trading these things right now, treat it as a commodity where you can make a little bit of money, but don't think about it necessarily in long-term value unless they meet that criteria. That criteria of having a strong community behind it, having somebody to continue to create demand, continue to build the IP on it, and then some type of smart contract benefit that you can get from it, okay? Other than that, all these people that are creating NFTs every day, they're probably not gonna be worth that much. All right, so just be careful with that. Okay, guys, so yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Please, I'm not that knowledgeable about NFTs, so if you guys have opinions about this, please, share your comments. Okay, no hate mail, please keep it respectful. I'd love to learn more about this topic, and then and then I will see you guys in the next video. Okay, please like, subscribe, share. Please check out my other videos on other things where you can get my opinions about these things, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.